I'm a little terrified we're not too far from this shit.
Right? That's the thing. Like, history repeats itself, bitches. That is a terrifying reality. We are the Watch Brats, and this is our crew.
Hey everyone, Nighthawk here.
have to-
Definitely a kid of the 80s. 13 years old.
I'm Dobie. I was -8 months old when this movie came out.
Weird.
I was being conceived when this movie came out.
Damn, that makes me feel old.
I
I
know.
was 10
So
years
old.
old when this movie came out.
Yeah, 1984, I was 3. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to have so many different perspectives, and I'm really excited to dive into these crazy fucking 80s movivies with this group.
So which feet would you be? At the very beginning, which feet would you be?
Oh,
I know
right?
Dragon what you would be.
No, you think you know, but you don't.
Oh, I totally know.
The white strappy heels were so cute, but I was like, man, this is not a dance move I recognize.
The chunky high heels the girl was wearing are stunning. I'd wear them. I'm just saying.
Okay.
White
I was
strappy
thinking
ones are
jeans
fun.
and sneakers for me.
Mm.
But the little leg warmers, I thought the leg warmers, the second I
Nice.
saw those, I thought of UK. Heartbeat
Yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah. All right,
I was
that's
like,
accurate.
oh, all right.
That's accurate. We have Footloose is a 1984 American musical drama film directed by Herbert Ross and written by Dean Pitchford. I want to say Pitchfork. Sorry, Dean. It tells the story of Ren McCormack, which is Kevin Bacon, and he goes to a town where dancing is illegal, in a nutshell. And Rotten Tomatoes score gave it 54%, and I just wonder what that's even based on.
Long dead reviewers? I mean,
To tell you the truth, I kind of didn't like the movie.
Okay, well,
really?
On the rewatch, I was kind of not captivated as much as my wife was in wanting to do Kevin Bacon and his bad boy hair.
I mean, to be fair, it is great hair.
It is.
Just saying.
It is. Oh, don't get me wrong. Fantastic.
Hair. And his little, like, collar flips.
Oh my god, he's so cute. I've had a big crush on Kevin Bacon since what was Tremors. I've had a crush on Kevin
Bacon. So pretty.
Look at that hair.
Angelic.
Beautiful head.
And
he's
so is this the movie where 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon started?
No, actually. This is what brought him to prominence, mind you. But about 3 movies after this, when people started going, that guy's in everything.
So this wasn't the movie. I was wondering about that because based on the cast, he's got a pretty strong, with Sarah Jessica Parker, you got Jonathan Lithgow in there, you got Diane Weiss.
Oh, I love her.
So,
yeah.
I did make a Cosmo in honor of Sarah Jessica Parker, so I'm enjoying this. My first Cosmo ever.
That's so cute. I love that you did that. So badass.
Do we know how old she was? Because I googled how old Kevin Bacon was in that movie, and he was 24 years old already.
Wow.
You didn't want to feel guilty if he was underage. She's like, I gotta make sure I can fawn over him legally, okay?
Yeah,
I can't legally fawn over
Sarah
him.
Jessica Parker was 18. Legal, baby.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, but I do remember that she was really super young because she was a dancer before this movie. Like, that's why I think she got this role, I believe. Like, her big break into movies. And that's a big deal for a person that's mainly a dancer to, like, break into a huge-ass movie like this. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think they went the right way with Laurie Singer. She played the daughter really well and conflicted and confused, which is what a teenage girl should be at that point.
She was crazy.
Yeah. The whole, like,
that whole entire train scene and the car scene, I totally forgot how crazy she was.
Red flags, definitely red flags when she stands on the track screaming at a train. Agreed.
I had like knew the premise of this movie, but it was like a little bit cartoony to me without seeing it. Like, there's actually a lot of darkness and like trauma in this, and I was
there is
like a little bit shocking to me actually. And like the domestic violence type stuff was also like, I was like, whoa, this is really dark.
Yeah, man. I mean, Dad hauls off and smacks her at one point, and you're like,
well, the boyfriend did too.
Oh, yeah. The
boyfriend went to town on her.
Okay, did anybody else get a little angry that the 2 stickers he had on his truck were Pink Floyd and the Grateful Dead? And I'm like, this guy has not been listening to those lyrics.
Yeah, it was weird.
They are not violent bands. I mean, they're very chill.
I didn't think about it that way. I was just like, usually if you have Pink Floyd and Dead, It's like sometimes they don't mix well together. So
They're like, just
Well,
whatever suits, slap them on there.
depends
yeah,
on your state of mind.
depending on what you're on.
Yeah, exactly.
But so that was her. That was Crazy Train Scene, right?
Yeah, that was absolutely her standing on railroad tracks, throwing her hand up like a crazy person. I'm not going to lie, but there's a part of me that was like, I can fix her.
The
I
fixer.
could make this work.
She was crazy thin too.
Yeah, no
They were
doubt
all
about
pretty
that.
thin. Was that an
Definitely.
80s? I think 90s was like the thin time.
It was heroin chic. I call that a giant red flag,
For sure.
but
That's
never
staggering. You
said
had
it was
some
smart.
commentary on this, like the social context of the time, didn't you?
I think it's important to keep in mind that we were in the midst of the satanic panic of the early to mid 80s that was going on. You know, people thought daycares were sacrificing children to the devil. They thought D&D was speaking to demons.
Oh my gosh.
So the idea of a small town, a rural town in the Midwest that would, outlaw dancing really isn't that foreign for somebody who went through that time period.
Well, it's
I
actually
think
based
that's
on a true story. It wasn't in whatever state they did the movie in, but I think it was in
right.
77 or something. There was a town that actually banned dancing. The premise is there for the Midwest. And
Yeah.
don't forget, you're talking about your Ronald Reagan years, things of that
Mhm.
nature. You've got the Cold War going on where, fear and suspicion is definitely pervasive.
Yeah, and for a 10-year-old me, I bought it hook, line, and sinker, not knowing any better. Being here in the South, I'm in Florida, so quasi-South. I don't know. Is Florida South?
Are
I
you
mean, it's
northern Florida or southern? Oh, well, yeah, you
Florida
kind
is
of are
the
in there.
very bottom. It feels all south.
geographically, yes. The further north you go, the more south you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it works. We're kind of our own messed up little peninsula down here. We have
Yeah.
our own rules, our
You
own
said
city
it.
states. Screwy.
Dangles.
I really want to visit.
Dangles off the
Florida.
side.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
You make it sound so appealing.
Will I be
It's
allowed
hot.
to dance?
It's miserable. But the liquor is cheap, and strip clubs are plentiful. So
What's
there's
not to love?
compensations.
Usually in the South Florida, it's more that you've got more of the Hispanic, more of the Cuban type of Haitian feel to it, and that type of cosmopolitan. Versus in Footloose, it's pretty white
Yeah,
Midwest.
we're not a diverse cast.
Was that a realistic thing where they were like going to the bar and easily getting booze as high schoolers?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
during that time period, yeah, easy.
Okay.
Well, don't forget in the Midwest, like things. I only missed it by a year, but your states like Wisconsin, Illinois, up until the mid 80s, had their drinking ages were 18.
Oh, okay.
It was like that college senior year into freshman year you were drinking.
Yeah.
That was back with the mentality, the old war mentality. If you could die for your country, you could drink for your country.
Yeah.
So
Just
and then
call-
people started getting into cars and driving.
Oh gosh, yeah. So the one scene with them driving and like doing the race where they're racing each other.
Oh
the
yeah,
girl
yeah.
is against that guy, and then she climbs over into the window. I know from seeing it she doesn't split her head open. Also, did that even ever happen in the real world? Like, do you remember seeing anything like this? Were
Stupid
people
things
just
like
more
that?
reckless? Nobody's wearing
Yes.
seatbelts in that car either.
What does
yeah.
it say on the back? No hunting, trespassing. What is?
And I doubt
No
that
hunting.
deer antlers on the
trespassing.
top of your car is even legal anymore. Just a really big habit.
And I love how the other girl gets out of the car and starts yelling at her to get back in the car.
so much
That was
sense.
normal.
I love so much logic. It's like, wow, you guys are college bound for sure.
Well, I can tell you during that time period, yeah, we did a lot of really risky, stupid things
Oh yeah.
because we weren't heavily watched. Our
Yeah.
parents were like, hey, where are you going? Out. Okay, be back when the streetlights come on. Even at the age of like 11 or 12, that was our routine. So we weren't that closely watched. So, we used to shoot each other with BB guns on purpose. Our parents knew about it and were like, just don't shoot them in the eye. And that was the parenting we got. Don't shoot them in the eye, rub some dirt on it, drink the water out of the hose.
Right.
Public service announcement. It's 10
And do
o'clock.
you know where your kids
Do
are?
you know where your kids are?
Yeah, they
It
had
was
public
nice you
service
got through the
announcements.
black eye without getting the black eye noticed, but that helps. The context helps.
Well, if you remember, the next time we see them in a scene together, he says, I haven't seen you in 3 days since he smacked her. But yeah, because she was abused by her boyfriend after that. So I guess it had time to sort of heal.
Yes, that makes sense.
I was a little creeped out. Their first kiss was right after she got smacked around by her ex-boyfriend. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's going to hurt and taste awful. So that's either really hot or really not. depending
No,
on your mindset.
Yeah.
yeah. No, that it just felt like the timing was really off for me, and it didn't hold up to what I remembered of Footloose. Like this fun movie. When I probably finally saw it, I was maybe 7 or something. It just had a different overall meaning for me, and the pacing of this kind of thing didn't even faze me. Like I was excited about the dancing. I think my mom covered my eyes at some parts.
Oh, I'm
Speaking
sure.
the Afghan. Oh yeah, I can't see anything. No.
Well, the
Especially
other-
these hips. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, those hips. Look at that.
He's even got the foot up.
You can reel me
I know.
in.
So,
Yeah.
Dragon, I wanted to circle back on something here, in which I kind of picked up on the movie. I thought the guy who directed it was kind of all over the place with his filming style, because it was really weird. As there were scenes in there where I felt like I was watching Rebel Without a Cause, right? Very 60s, very 50s, 60s, very close in. The
Mhm.
light shining down on their face, very closed, like caption.
Mhm.
But then you saw them riding on their motorcycles. It seemed like for the old school, you can't dance, with Lithgow, basically, his
Right.
character, the preacher character, like it was very old, like shot in a very 50s, 60s kind of way. Whereas when you kind of looked at the kids,
Mhm.
the other thing about the church is I noticed like they had no decorations in the church whatsoever. That was kind of weird. But
Yeah.
like when they showed the kids, it was more wide open, or more, more color,
Yeah.
more space. So that kind of threw me off a little bit as well, as far as how he was doing different shooting styles that I didn't think
Right.
really went well together.
No, that's a good point. I hadn't picked up on that necessarily because it was just a lot to absorb. Again, it was chaotic and it was uncomfortable at times, bizarre, not cohesive in a way that it
Yes.
maybe should have felt, especially for like movies in the 80s. I always felt like they were very specific. Like you could always easily identify a movie by like just any screen of it, anywhere, anytime. You're right. Those scenes like with the church, basically with the adults at any time, were shot very differently, and they didn't use any exciting colors in any of those, which I think maybe that was a choice. Or
I would agree with
I
that.
think it's a choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
But again, the juxtaposition between the two, I was
It's
just
a
like, you're
lot
doing
to
it.
like
Yeah.
go in and out
Especially
like
with the
that.
daughter, because it was like the painted the daughter as being angelic when she was with her dad. Like, you never trust me. You only care when I go out. You don't care when I'm in. Blah blah blah. She's doing all that, all dramatic, and then the next scene, Bill throws up there. She's in front of a train in a jean jacket. Like, yeah, let's do it. For me, that was a little too jarring.
It was
for
jarring.
me,
I agree, and felt like really like it makes me not like her character, and yet you're supposed to be, I think, rooting for her in some way, but I didn't like who she was
I
like
wasn't.
at any
I
point,
was,
so it's really
yeah, she was all over the
icky.
place for me.
Yeah,
I think she was spot on for a teenage girl, because
yeah,
I know how I was as a teenager when I was
That's
at that
true.
confused stage in my life where, 1 minute I'm fine and the next minute I'm going through an emotional storm that I don't even understand. So
yeah.
that kind of chaos, I think, is reflected in the film, but I think it's done purposefully. That's why the town is so drab, because they suck the life out of all the fun. That's why the town looks the way it does.
Yeah.
There's no fun to be had. They want nothing bright or popping or vibrant. It's supposed to feel closed in and stuffy, which is
Mhm.
what the adults are. That's why it's shot
Yeah.
much closer up.
Yeah.
You feel hemmed in, pinned in, constrained. And then you get a scene where Ren's dancing, by himself in that place. And all of a sudden, you get that openness, that freedom, that soaring sort of
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah,
So I think it was done on purpose. Was it done well is a different question altogether.
like our consensus is that they are intentional, so it
Gratuitous ass shot.
woo! So it does feel like it was put in that way visually for us to feel constrained and restricted and see all the really high collars and tightened up buttons and pearls and tight little hairdos on the women, and this this
Yeah.
felt really weird. A film that can do that is always like, in my book,
Yeah.
even if
and
it's uncomfortable for me to watch.
it can bring back that nostalgic feel I had when I first watched it, for me. But my favorite scene is this, because I can relate so much. Having to be woken up in church when I was that age.
Oh,
Yeah, snoring. You got
That
the
poor kid.
fullback snore. Like,
The little girl in the background on the on the side is also half asleep.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that is perfect. I remember those days so well. It really, I mean, for a second, I could smell the old moldy hymnals they had
Oh
in
yeah.
church where I grew up and everything. So I'm like, well played.
But
I-
I do want to circle back to the girl as far as character development is concerned. Like,
Mm.
that's where I had another issue with her character, not her
Mhm.
as the actress. I think she did a very good job within the role. But
Right.
I think character development throughout the show, Ren was his name in the movie.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I thought his character development where he's actually fighting for something, right? Like, I thought his character development through that arc, I thought Lithgow, like the whole scene where he's with the kids and it's like, hey, I'm not all fire and brimstone. I do have compassion. The nuance of Lithgow's character I thought was really
Right.
good. And Diane, I think Weiss played very well off of him in developing their relationship. But the one with her where I kind of got she's developing into that daddy doesn't like me, I'm rebelling against the system, I just want to dance, I want to have
Mhm.
fun. But that scene with Sean Penn's brother,
Oh,
who
right.
they're driving back and he's like, hey, this bridge creeps me out, and all of a sudden she just kind of nonchalantly turns to Ren and is like, oh yeah, my brother died on this bridge.
Well,
It wasn't like anything that
Being up to it.
gravitas, if you will. And it kind of bummed me out that it was just like she just kind of like squirted through those lines and this is how I, blah blah blah, and that was it. She was done. So that was another reason why her character for me was just,
I think we
I
need to
gotta
make
do
squirted through her lines like a
the quote of the
catchphrase
day.
of ours.
Squirted through her lines.
random ass guy. You should put a
No.
picture of him up on the shower. Random
No.
ass guy.
I don't know, but that guy was absolutely ripped. He had a
Was
great
he
proportioned
legal?
muscles, body. I'm just saying. He's 27 at the time.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
So
there you go.
he came off much
Dragon.
older.
Woo.
He came off much older in the movie. You're looking at that guy going, how was he in high school?
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
the one background character where you're like, dude, there's no way that guy's in high school.
There were
He's the
quite a
one
few
that
of them, though, that felt that way to me. And I couldn't
he's
tell
this
if it was like that perspective of, watching the 80s stuff that just looks different to me because I was a child then and everybody looked like a super adult to me. Like, so the
a little
perspective,
bit.
like, it could just be that because even Sarah Jessica Parker, she's 17 in this and she looks like a full grown adult to me, too.
It's
Um,
the hair.
The
Sorry.
guy in the shower is the same guy who pins the other two guys inside the phone booth when they try and attack Ren.
Oh my
The
goodness.
big guy. Yeah, he's the same guy. He does not
Yeah,
look
how
like.
did he befriend him again? Because I got him mixed up with Tractor Guy.
He's pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Chuck,
That guy was total tool.
Yeah.
Chuck is a tool.
Is a
Chuck
tool.
is a tool. Chuck is a
Chuck
tool.
is a tool.
What's
An
the
image.
equivalent?
The line
Chuck is a
squirter of the
tool.
movie.
Yeah.
The line squirter of the movie.
What's the
Hey, well, she did. She squirted her way through the lines. It was,
See, I don't think she did. The way it was set up was he said this bridge creeps me out. She's like, well, yeah, you know the story. And Ren's like, no. She's like, you don't know the story of it? And she says the name of the bridge. It's like, okay, so these kids were coming back, and she goes through the story. It's not till the end that she gets this serious look on her face, and she says softly to Ren, that was my brother who died. And, it's played off as somebody who doesn't know how to handle their emotions about this event that happened, which is consistent with her age and her character. And I'm like,
I agree with you. I can agree with that
Yeah.
point. That's actually a very valid point in how it was delivered. But for me, it was if I had a sibling who died, on a bridge or in some traumatic fashion, I'm not going to wax poetically beforehand until I get to the point where it's like, yeah, my brother died in that. That's the
Okay, but
only thing.
Yeah.
how would 16-year-old you handle it? Not you now. 16-year-old you.
I'd
I
probably
wouldn't
be
be able to
high,
handle it. Yeah, high as
smoking a joint, like,
Or
yeah, like,
blasé. Or
yeah,
high
blasé
as
about
fuck,
it.
and driving over that bridge, I'd be like, I get
yeah,
stuck on this bridge. Just pass the joint, and then that would be that.
yeah.
Like, that's what my reaction is.
You're my boy,
Nope.
Blue. You're my
So,
boy. But Bill, that is a valid point. You made me rethink it, so thank you for that.
yeah, I
And
think
Yeah,
it was
that's why
just
we're having this show, right?
exactly.
it was delivered with
So
the
many
fake
percent.
bravado of a teen, sort of blaseness that a teen would put up front thinking that's how I should be reacting when she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know how she feels about it, which becomes clear later when her and her father finally sort of have a genuine heart to heart as opposed to let's fight, which is
Yeah.
kind of what we get up until this.
I'm not even a virgin.
She's like, don't you say that in here. She's like,
What?
isn't this where I'm supposed to
I'm
say
not
it?
even a virgin. Can't believe it. Well, she had her little role in the hay with Jerk
Chuck.
Guy.
Chuck is a tool.
Yeah.
Chuck is a tool. So I have a question for you. Did anybody ever read Slaughterhouse-Five?
Yes.
No.
I've
I
never
did
read
it
it. What
for-
is it about?
It's about the firebombing of Dresden and time travel in a weird way. Yeah, it's a guy with PTSD. He was a prisoner of war during World War II, placed in a slaughterhouse as a prisoner of war where they were sort of being held. It was the place that they put him, but it was so reinforced that it's one of the places that you were able to survive the firebombing of Dresden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
they-
controversial, but it's a really, really good read if you're into metaphysics and things like that, because it's him when he's older, and sometimes he goes back to Slaughterhouse-Five sort of time travel style. Only is he really going back, or is this just PTSD? It's a thought-provoking
still
novel.
there? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Did he never leave?
Right. Yeah. Is it fragments of his own mind type of stuff? I
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, that's good because that was like the book they were banning at the beginning, and I was like, oh, what is
Yeah.
that? Because I'd never read that one. So
All right, so I have a couple pop quiz questions if you want to play a little pop quiz
Ooh.
Footloose style.
That's
All
right.
right.
Get your Jiffy Pop ready.
Let's try kicking it off with what does Ariel's shirt say at the city council meeting?
Dance your
dance your ass off.
Yeah! ding, 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 ding. Oh,
In sequence.
I know. That was amazing,
Wow,
guys.
I didn't have that deal. I just saw her opening up her shirt. I was like, what's going on here? So
That's right, folks. Welcome to the show. We're dirty old men.
yes, we
Hey!
are. There's some dirty
Not
there.
all of us.
Definitely. Just like my martinis. Well, my martinis are naughty.
Classied them up by calling them naughty.
Yes.
What color was Ren's shirt during the tractor chicken match with Chuck?
Red.
Yes.
It was
red.
bright red, too.
Ding, ding, ding.
And good old cops, like hitting him in the chin with the cassette tape.
Totally. Oh, yeah.
His driver's license.
His driver's license, he scrapes
Yeah.
it under his chin, which is just
Yep.
so disrespectful. You're like, that was a dick move. And technically assault.
Right? I mean, nobody would be able to get away with this. Right?
Yep.
Any sheriff's department would just be ridiculed for even being represented in a movie in that way now.
Over for having loud music.
Yeah.
Judging by the people
Well,
driving
in
by
that
my
town.
street, not that many.
Loud music in that town leads to unintentional gyrations.
I
Which
got
we
news
all
for you.
know leads to
Being on a
fornication.
banana seat in my first bike ride all over again. It wasn't
Great.
until later that we realized what banana seats were made for.
All right, so other lines are open here. Other movie lines are open here.
Much like The Matrix, there is no spoon, there is no box.
There is no box. This is for us to shoot the shit and have fun, and if people enjoy it, that's awesome. That's fun
I'm
too.
down for that. I have another topic I
Go
wanted
for
to bring up. I when I did my research for the movie and stuff like that, I found out that there's an argument that 1984 is one of the best, if not the best movie year ever in the history of cinema. And the list that I pulled up has Footloose, which was a top movie of the year, was ranked at number 11.
80's
So I'm going to
classic.
go through and name the other top 10 movies that beat out Footloose in this list. I'm sure this list is subjective on some level.
Of course.
Terminator has to be on there.
Terminator's number 3. You want to guess some more?
Chariots of Fire?
No.
I don't remember what year that came out, but it was 80.
Yeah. So I'll go from bottom to top.
Okay.
At
He's
the
a
number
switch,
10
got it.
spot, Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes, great movie.
Number 9, Police Academy, the original.
Both
which
highly questionable aspects of movies.
Yeah, but they were good. I mean, they were funny. They
Yeah.
were good. This is Spinal Tap.
Of course. Turn it to
Indiana
11.
Jones and the Temple of Doom. So you're in that
Nice.
whole Indiana
I mean,
Jones arc.
Wow.
I got him right
Oh,
there.
yeah, look, you got him right there.
Can't go wrong with Indy. Kali Ma,
Karate
Shut
Kid.
the Day.
Karate Kid.
Yes.
The
Nice.
Crane. I was never a
Great.
fan of the next movie, but Gremlins.
Love that
I
movie.
did not like that movie either. Terrified me for years.
Number 4, 4, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh,
Yes.
Dragon and I can sit in
this
the
is so
corner.
sweet.
Like number 3,
This is
you
so
said
good.
Terminator for 3. Number
Nice.
2, Beverly Hills Cop. Now think about that.
That tracks.
Beverly Hills Cop was humongous back then. When that came out, you went 3 times to the movie theater. You know, everybody was talking about it. It was what you did that summer type of deal. So that this is the type of competition that Footloose is against. Number 1, now that I've gone through that list, can you
Yeah.
guess what number 1 was after Beverly Hills Cop?
Poltergeist?
Oh, you're so close. I think you even have the symbol behind you, Bill.
Ghostbusters.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Oh my
The only
god.
symbol I have on there. I'm
That
like,
makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're talking about like Hot Dog, Hard Bodies. What is it? Last Starfighter. Like if you want to
Oh,
get into your
great.
geeky type of movies.
Enemy Mine.
I mean, Razor's Edge, Bill Murray. There was
So
just
many
tons of
Keanu
these
Reeves.
movies.
Yeah.
And then I'll do the songs really quick. You had When Doves Cry.
Epic.
Purple Rain.
Yeah, that whole album. That was great.
I'm not
What's Love
100%,
Got to
but
Do
yeah.
with It? Tina, she had such great
What an
lyrics.
iconic friggin'
Yeah.
year.
Say by Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. And then, of course, you had Footloose, Kenny Loggins.
Amazing.
The beginning of Kenny Loggins' run of
Oh,
doing
yeah.
songs for movies. He did Caddyshack, Top Gun,
Yeah.
all of them after this, and they were all pretty
Change
one
yourself.
right after the other.
Epic 80s
I'm
movies.
all
Yeah,
right.
I didn't know that Footloose was actually, the song was written for the movie. I just didn't know that. I thought they were just two separate things and they made perfect sense together. But no.
Right.
Bill, did you ever watch Yacht Rock?
Oh,
the,
yeah. Michael
the
McDonald.
documentary?
Yeah.
They have a whole thing about Loggins and Messina in there. So in case you haven't
Yeah.
watched it, you should watch it. That was a good one.
I have seen
I don't know,
it.
Dragon. Are you a Yacht Rock girl?
I don't know what that means. Is that like crotch rot or what is yacht rot?
Yacht rock is a sort of
It's falling off.
subgenre.
I listen to music as it falls off.
It's a subgenre of rock. I think today it'd be called dad rock,
Or
probably.
Dad, yeah. So
Yeah.
the Doobie Brothers.
Steely Dan,
Steely
Michael
Dan,
McDonald.
Christopher Cross.
Can you sing me a little?
No.
As you knew. It's like feeding a gremlin after midnight bag.
Uh-oh. I know enough about that movie to know that that is really bad.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Well, okay, so do we have any more things we wanted to talk about with this movie specifically?
I do like the way it sort of wrapped up without actually wrapping anything up, because these are teenagers and God knows what they're going to go on to do. I enjoy Christopher Penn in this movie in particular. He cracks me up trying to learn how to dance, not fighting.
Yeah.
Like, I can't fight. I can't
But
fight.
still
I can't fight,
fighting.
which is funny.
But I love that part where he's like, he's so aggressively dancing. It's
God,
so
can
in
we talk-
character for him, but on the dance floor. That was fun.
Yeah.
So based on your background, Dragon, what did you think of the dancing in the movie? Like, what did you think about Kevin Bacon and the warehouse prom scene? Like, was it good dancing? Was it bad dancing? What did you think about that?
It was
Well,
really
yeah.
80s. It was really choreographed. It felt to me very like authentic to what I imagine Midwestern style of social dancing might have been like. I don't know that much about the social dances though, like from that era, but what it looked like to me was like a lot of lines of people scooching across the floor together, knowing steps and knowing what to do, and all of these little foot movements have a specific name. And so I thought they did a really good job of like incorporating really popular dance moves from the 80s, but it also really time stamped the whole thing.
Oh,
In the
yeah,
way
yeah.
Footloose is time stamped. It's not a movie that's gonna ever age well. That's just the thing. That's okay. Yeah, the dance moves were really fun to watch. I found myself like wishing that we did more things that were more like, oh, we all know this, so we just start doing it, you know, like together. Because we know
The sort
that
of
this
line
is
dance aspect.
everybody sort of, yeah, like the line dance,
Yeah.
you know, where y'all know what you're doing and then you just join in and dance with everybody and everybody's doing like the same thing. And that kind of energy, I mean, it's really like psychologically healthy. It's like so good for people in general, good for community, and you live longer because you are dancing with other people. Like there's all sorts of amazing benefits to coming into community and dancing, especially when it's something that you're doing together. I found myself, really wishing that we still had like more of that. Maybe I just need to go line dancing or something.
There you go.
Not a bad idea.
good
Get
stuff.
your dance fix in.
It was a lot of fun to watch. I typically am hypercritical of like lots of dance scenes, but more so when it's like technical.
Black Swan type of stuff.
Black Swan for sure, because ballet is my thing. That's
Right.
my main background. Yeah, there's just different movies where I'm just like looking and dissecting, but this was just in a social scene. It was really fun. It was just really fun. It's such a different shift in the movie, so that was the nice part.
Yeah. And as a older white guy, I can tell you that's why we all know the electric slide. Is that feeling of being able to dance with somebody,
Right,
and that's one thing that we rhythmless people can do. I am not a great dancer, but I will get out there and make a fool of myself.
That's awesome. That's the whole point. Anybody that can just get out there and just move your body with a group of people, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like the whole
That's
point
right,
is
folks. You
that
heard
they're
her.
bouncing off of each other. It's a fun atmosphere.
If you wanted a good growing up in the 80s was the scene with Penn and Bacon where they're at the high school, they're having lunch together, and he's talking about like, oh yeah, and then she took me out to her car and
Oh, the
yeah,
story.
seat back, and Penn's like,
Yeah.
really? He's like, did that really happen? And Bacon's like, no.
no. yeah.
It's like, no, dude.
Yes,
No.
that scene.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
They had over 1,000 high school students in this tiny little town when he rolled up in his little bug. Where'd all these kids come from?
1,000 does seem large. There were a lot of people.
There were a lot of students.
And I will say that growing up, we actually had a car hop.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
me too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think ours was A&W. It was an A&W car hop. It was a sponsored one. So
Oh
you
my
go up and get your, they put the tray on your door and stuff like that.
Yeah, you pull your car right up. You had those neon lights.
Yep. Back when
They'd
you
come
could
out of
rip off
the
another
wall.
company's idea and wouldn't get in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terry
People weren't
B's.
suing each other every 5 seconds.
Yep. So,
I-
Dragon, what was your rating?
I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, but I've really enjoyed this conversation, which elevates the movie in my head.
Oh, I would agree with you there.
It's low. It's a little 4, maybe 0.4. I like Footloose, and I like Kevin Bacon and Sarah Jessica Parker, and there are some good things about this movie.
4.5 out of 10. Ouch.
To be honest, I'm not going to watch it for my own pleasure ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately,
I
because
think
we
that's
watched it with Mo, I got to watch the new one now.
Oh, right. I
Ugh.
saw that there was a new one, and I was like, oh, fuck.
I did, and I regret every minute of it.
No.
How did they? Oh, no.
We'll talk about that one in the production meeting. No.
Right? Yeah, backstage
I
only.
regret
Backstage
A
only.
minute of watching that. As for the original, honestly, I'd give it a 7.5, but I'm nostalgia based. Because, like I said, I was alive during this time, so a lot of it really sent me back to my childhood. For me, that's what makes it probably more enjoyable than the rest of you. Do I think it's written superbly? No. Do I think it's acted well? Yes. Acted perfectly? No. So there are aspects that, yeah, it's not great, but at the time we thought it was the shit.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it with the nostalgia glasses. 7.5.
Yeah. And that makes sense, and I respect that.
What about you, Nighthawk?
I think, Bill, I think you did change my mind. Definitely, changed my mind about Laurie Singer and how she played the part on some aspects of it. Again, I think, we talked about it kind of all over the place for me as far as cinematography, the acting. It's kind of rumble, stumble, bumbled through it. I'll give you a half a point, Bill, so I'll take it up to 6.5. I was going to give it a 6 out of 10, but I'll give it a 6.5 because looking at it at nostalgia type of lens, I wasn't looking at it as much that way. To be honest, I don't really remember the movie. Like the only part I remember is him dancing in the warehouse and the weird gymkata. Like he had a pommel horse there and an uneven bar, in a factory or whatever. Like I didn't remember the tractor thing, and that's like an iconic scene in the movie as well, right?
Yeah.
So for me, there wasn't a lot of memories there, and based on the other movies that were really, I gravitated more towards some of the other movies in '84 than I did Footloose.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
6.5.
There are better movies. Don't get me wrong. There are way better movies.
So this time we're going to watch Can't Buy Me Love with the sexy
really?
Patrick Dempsey. We're going to 1987. We are shooting forward in the 80s, going to 87, and we'll probably kind of flip-flop around the decade quite a bit. And we're also not going to just watch big hit movies, but we want to, watch some obscure stuff too. So what I'm hoping is that we will get lots of people giving us comments. Everything 80s cinema is just very exciting to a large group of people. So it's fun for us to get to talk about like the nostalgia of it, what that means, having these different age groups, and then also, the different perspectives that brings. This is fun.
Next month, we will be covering Can't Buy Me Love.
Yes.
I had a crush on her.
Didn't we
So
all?
cute. Okay, and I had a crush on him. He was like my dream guy. Like, please come rescue
Who is that?
me.
Patrick Dempsey?
Yeah. Not a healthy thing to do. Don't try this at home.
Like, we're not going to go into our unhealthy 80s obsessions. Because
No, we're not.
me and Molly Ringwald, woof,
Oh,
I
me.
would have done
was-
anything for Molly
Yeah.
Ringwald. Anything.
Oh.
Ugh.
And with that, we're going to Jazzercise now, yes?
Mo.
Get your headbands and leg warmers.
Go to Jazz says, I'm going to the arcade.
Pinball.